guys, welcome back to Live School and welcome back to our new tech series that is designing of RC aircrafts. And I hope you have watched the previous two videos of aircraft anatomy and some basic flight dynamics. And now in this video we are going to concentrate on design procedure of aircrafts and the governing equations. So let's not waste time in the introduction and let's get started with the design procedure. So here is a flow chart showing how actually the design procedure occurs. Now I wanted to concentrate over design requirements, the first and the foremost important step in the design procedure. Now design requirements are nothing but let's suppose you need to design an aircraft which is going to be a fighter jet. Now the requirements may include how many passenger it should carry, should it be only controlled with the pilot or else someone else should be there, or how many missiles should it carry, how much distance it should travel, and like lot of other things that can include in this section. So basically these are design requirements and that are totally dependent on the designer or the customer. If suppose a customer is ordering you for the design, then it is completely dependent on that person what he needs the plane for. So design requirements are coming out of the scenario due to certain specific targets that need to be achieved. Now the next part is where the process starts. Now where the process start is here. So it is a phase known as the conceptual design. Now till this point you only have the purpose of the aircraft in your mind. That is, the purpose of the aircraft is clear at this point. So the requirements clears you with the picture of purpose, like what is the exactly your plane gonna do. Conceptual design. So what happens in the conceptual design is you will decide the various aspects of certain outlook of your aircraft. So why outlook? What I mean is the types of the wing you're gonna have. Would you be having elliptical wings that look like this? Would you be having elliptical wings? Would you be having swept wings? Or would you be having tapered wings? Or you will prefer aircraft with high winger, low winger, mid winger, etc. Things will be covered in this thing. So basically this conceptual design phase will give you a idea of how your plane will be looking like. For example, do you going to install retractable landing gears or fixed landing gears? That all need to be decided in this phase. So the conceptual design gives you idea of how your plane will look. So this is the idea behind the conceptual design phase. Now after conceptual design there comes a part that is the preliminary design phase. Now preliminary design phase is the one, just a minute, thank you. So preliminary design phase is the phase in which you are going to fix the plane on a geometric level. That is, you're gonna decide the size of the plane. So here you describe its shape. It is more shape oriented design phase, that is you decide shape over here. But in the preliminary design you're gonna fix the size of the plane. So but in this phase what happens is exactly we'll plan some things such as constraint diagram. In constraint diagram we'll connect we'll find the wing loading, and as well as the thrust to weight ratio. And from the thrust to weight ratio part, we'll go for the electronic design, and from the wing loading part, we'll get to the wing design, actual wing design. So this is how we're gonna separate the design procedure after the preliminary design. So this is the second phase of the uh, design procedure. So detailed design is concerned about designing at the end designing of a particular part. So for example, if from the preliminary design I got the area of the wing, if I got the area of the wing from the preliminary design, then this area will be now divided to the wing. So wing should be like this, or wing should be like this. So how it will be in the length and in the width, it will be decided in the detailed design phase. So detailed design phase concerns about a particular part of the plane. So individual part design is take place in this detailed design part. So this is how the aircraft design procedure is divided, and I hope you have got at least the procedure. Now after this procedure, let's suppose you go for analysis and figured out that your analytical calculations are not matching with your results. So we'll again give you a feedback loop of test and evaluation to this part. So after requirements, there is no need of further change. We again give a look to conceptual design, and this loop continues. And if the product is okay, then if the design is okay, the product of this flow chart is the design. So if the design is okay, then we'll go for the further ones. Okay, so let's get into the technical aspects of these things, and let's discuss what exactly happened in each phase. Now the conceptual design phase. So in the conceptual design phase, I have told you that we actually discuss the shape of the aircraft in this phase. Mostly we are actually getting try to get a picture of the aircraft in this process. So basically we'll select the type of wings that we will going to use: elliptical, swept, or tapered wings, or the positioning of the wing that we can use, that is, are you going to use mid winger, a low winger, that is, suppose this is the low winger, this is the mid winger, and this is the high winger. So which type of pl- uh, pl- uh, plane are you preferring for the purpose, that's going to be decided in this space. After that, selection of type of powering system. Your aircraft is going to be powered by two engine or one engine, or let's suppose, are you having a electrical powered aircraft or a fuel powered aircraft, that's going to be discussed in this part. So these are some of the aspects that I'm mentioning over here. There are a lot of things that need to be discussed in the conceptual design, that where should be your payload, and how you going to lift it. Then again, different things such as how your landing gears will be there, like they will be retractable or fixed. So these many things that we are going to discuss. Then again, the tail type, that is, you're going to use T tail or simple tail, or you're going to use V tail. I'm not mentioning the pictures or any things like that over here, because though are quite available on the internet, so you can just go through this searches and you can find them anywhere. But what I'm trying to tell you is that this is just the first initial phase of design, that is the conceptual design. After that, we enter into the constraint diagram, that is the preliminary design phase. So in the preliminary design phase, we will plot a constraint diagram. Now you all must have heard constraint diagram, this thing, from me since last two lectures, but now I'll tell you what is exactly constraint diagram is. So constraint diagram is a plot of thrust by weight ratio to the wing loading. Now by wing loading, I mean that this is the weight of the aircraft and area of the wing, that is the platform area of the wing. This is known as S. So it is the ratio of thrust by weight of the aircraft to wing loading. This is wing loading. Wing loading. Now this constraint diagram gives you a relation between thrust to weight ratio and wing loading for different requirements of aircraft. For example, we have a different constraint for maximum velocity, so it will give you a graph like this. If you have a constraint for takeoff run, it will give you a graph like this. Then if you have a constraint for rate of climb, then again it will give you a graph like this. Now the intersection of all these graphs is nothing but our design region, that is this. So this will give you an idea that what uh, thrust by weight ratio should be selected for typical wind loading. So this is how the constraint diagram helps us in understanding the procedure. And after that, plotting the constraint diagram, we are actually separating our paths for electronics design and as well as the plane design. So the process becomes simpler in order to analyze the things. So constraint diagram is the heart of the designing procedure, I must say, because it's going to separate you from the electronics part and the wing part, the two major parts of the aircraft design. Then from the wing loading, we can find out the size of the aircraft, that is we have W by S. So weight we already know, as we are going to fix the weight first. So after knowing the weight, we can find out the area, as we have plotted constraint diagram in W by S versus thrust by weight. So we are going to fix W by S over here, and let's say we can calculate the area of the wing. Now after getting the area of the wing, now it is our decision to how to distribute that area in the span and the chord. So basically this part of the wing is known as the span. This is span and this is chord. This is chord. So after getting the area, it is in our hand to distribute the area in span and chord, and that will look when you are actually going to design a wing. After that, we'll find out the size of the tail from the wing area, and that is also will be discussed in the particular tail design part. Now let's go to the detailed design. In detailed design, we'll decide some another factors, such as what should be the size of ailerons, elevator, rudder. That will be discussed here. Then what are the typical design factors of the wing, or for example a particular part, that how much taper angle taper ratio your plane should have, how much aspect ratio your wing should have. Then uh, etc etc. So then sizing of the landing gear. By sizing of the landing gear, I mean that what should be the size, height, in length, etc. the landing gear should have in order to balance the CG as well as the total dynamics of the aircraft. After that, we finish the first design loop. Now we have seen the conceptual and the preliminary design procedures. Now I would like you to go through the text first, from the references, so that you will understand the procedure. Come back and just watch the further part. In the next part, we are going to see some governing equations. So the governing equations are basically the flight equations according to which a plane will fly. So the first equation and the most important equation is the equation of lift. So this is the equation of lift of an aircraft. Now lift equation suggests us that lift is equal to half, this is R is the density of the medium in which it is flying, then V is the speed with which it is flying, and the A is the area of the wing. Now after that, these relations are found out with the help of dimensional analysis. So there is no and some after the dimensional analysis is performed, Then some experimental tests have been taken, and after that these relations were brought up. So to add a relation constant, we have got this CL, that is the coefficient of lift. So all these equations of similarly the drag acting on a plane can be given as half into density of the medium, that is R, into V square into A into CD. So similarly this is the equation of the drag force acting on a plane. So lift and drag are the two major forces acting on a plane. Now these are the fundamental equations of flight. After this we'll look into what is exactly the stall condition of aircraft, or what is exactly the stalling. Now to make you understand with the stalling, I want you to remember the definition of stall velocity. So the stall velocity is Vs, that is denoted by Vs over here. Now stall velocity is the velocity with which uh, the plane should fly in order to have a lift. So basically it is the minimum speed with which the plane should fly in order to generate lift. So that's how we define stall velocity. Now coming to the stall condition, what happens is, as soon as we started, I have brought you over here a graph of coefficient of lift versus angle of attack. Now let's draw over the graph and understand its nature. So as the graph moves from angle 0 to a certain angle which is nearer to 17 degree, as we can see from here, so nearer to 17 degree we can see. So this graph, as soon as it is moving till 17 degree, the coefficient of lift is increasing, which means that if we keep the speed, density and area constant, then the lift is going to increase for that time. So till that angle of attack, the lift is going to increase. So let's say we have tilted the plane till 17 degrees. So this is the stall angle. This is the stall angle. Now after that what happens, if I going to 18 or 19 degree, the lift is going to drop. This condition, that after which the angle of attack after which the lift starts decreasing, or the lift tips, is known as the stall angle. Or else we can say that if we reach a certain velocity of the plane which is lesser than the stall velocity, then that condition is known as the stall condition. So stall condition can be in two ways. If the speed is lower than the stall speed, so V is less than the Vs, then we can say the plane is stalled. Or else if you are moving to an angle which is greater than the stall angle, then we can say that the plane has stalled. So this is basically stalling condition. So I would like to end this lecture over here. In the next lecture we'll see what is exactly a constraint diagram and how to draw it, and what are the factors that we are going to consider in it. So we'll take a problem statement, and according to that problem statement we are going to do the further things, that is we'll plot a constraint diagram, then we'll decide a wing for it, and then we'll decide an electronic system for it. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like the channel, subscribe the channel, so that as soon as I upload a video you'll get a notification, and keep sharing, keep learning. Thank you.